MSW Media.
So yeah, now it's clean up on aisle 45 time. And for a long while yet, it is going to be clean up on aisle 45.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 239 of Clean Up on Aisle 45. Maybe we could just stop saying what episode it is.
What episode we're on.
It could be like, it feels like 1,000. But it's Wednesday, August 20th, 2025. I'm Allison Gill.
Well, when we get to 1,000, we're going to want to know it's 1,000. So I guess keep counting.
That's true.
What's up, y'all? It's Harry Dunn here. All right, today we have yet another judge denying January 6th defendant reimbursement for restitution they paid. And Alex Jones is one step closer to losing his studio and his brand.
How sad for him.
Yeah.
Super sad for him. Plus, an appeals court delivers a major win for Black voters in the Louisiana state redistricting battle. And Newsmax is paying a $67 million settlement to Dominion, so there'll be no trial in October. So this is all a pretty good news episode.
Yeah.
And first, speaking of good news, this is from a publication called Bleeding Heartland. Quote, "A lot of you all know who I am because I experienced the worst day of my life on national television." That's former Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn speaking to about 350 Democrats in Clear Lake, Iowa on August 14th. The keynote speaker typically rallies the crowd at the Iowa Democratic Wingding, an annual fundraiser. They got to change that name for county party organization. It's pretty. It's, you know what? It's. I guess it's an institution, right? It's a tradition.
Yeah.
It's a fundraiser for county party organizations across northern Iowa. Dunn held the room's attention for more than 30 minutes, drawing plenty of applause as well as laughs with zingers about Trump, U.S. Senators Joni Ernst and Chuck Grassley, and Republicans in general. But Dunn warned his audience early on, "I'm not here to give some rah-rah speech." And he delivered some of his most powerful lines in a subdued voice. And by speaking candidly about his own struggles and doubts, Dunn offered a path forward, not just for Democrats who are ready to fight back, but for those still trying to pick themselves up off the floor. And here's another quote from you. "I'm here in Iowa at the Wingding to announce that I am still pissed off." "Like I said, I experienced the worst day of my life on national TV," he repeated. "Think about your worst day, the worst day of your life," he suggested. "Now, that worst day of your life, imagine somebody telling you it didn't exist. It didn't happen. Hey, you're overreacting. It wasn't that bad," unquote. And man, Harry, I know where you're coming from. Worst day of my life was being attacked in the military. And for years, the VA was like, it didn't happen. The people I tried to report it to is it didn't happen. It's all in your head. And so that sort of whitewashing of history, but yours was on national television. Yeah. And I think you had said something to the effect of, "Look, I don't want to have to be here, but I am." Yeah.
So I'm thankful. So the person that wrote that, her name is Laura Bellin, and that's the name of her Substack, Bleeding Heartland. But she's a Iowa reporter, covers a lot of politics in Iowa, and she made later on in the story, she talks about she's never heard so many F-bombs dropped at a political event or whatever. But like I said at the beginning, I wasn't there to rile people up, and maybe but maybe like a reality check. And, I told people that I wish that I wasn't this guy that everybody knows now, that everybody has thinks highly of. Well, the people that I associate with, there are a lot of people on the other side that, hate my guts or whatever. But this is my country too. And I want to see it do well. And I want it to be the best for people. I want people to feel welcomed. And that's not happening with this administration. And, I kind of gave just a reality check to a lot of people. You could hear a pin drop when I asked people to think about the worst day of their lives. Because, they could be the loss of a loved one. There could be, there's so many just things that people just carry that nobody knows about. And just for a second, just imagine people telling you that day didn't exist. Or, hey, just get over it. It's fine. And then I went on to talk about, not only that, the people that are responsible for that day let's go ahead and elevate them to president, to people to have roles in the Justice Department, to people advising the president. It's a total slap in the face. But I kept on talking about how I think that we get back, and what I'm doing, and it's by showing up. A lot of you all know I used to play football, and I tried to use the analogy of like, man, when I was a football player, we played teams that we had no business in the same stadium with, and that were 10 times better than us. But we had to play the game, and we won a lot of those games that people said we were supposed to lose. And that's the way I feel we look at it right now. A lot of people want to pack it in and just, call the game before it's even been played. And I'm here to say that I think we got a chance to win and win big. But we don't win anything if we don't show up.
No, that is very, very true. And you had a lot, to say. You spoke for 30 minutes. You talked about how we're not in normal days right now.
Yeah. So, in normal days, I think it's very common to reach across the aisle, find common ground. And, listen, I am not reaching across anybody's aisle in this times that we're in right now. The hell with that. Like, this isn't normal, and we can't even act like this is normal. I am surprised on another. My ADHD gets me. But Zelensky did wear a suit to the White House this time. Did you see that? I don't know what made me just think of that, but just talk about just not in normal times. But that's the shit that they're worried about. Sorry for cursing, but that's what they're worried about right now is people, not normal times, not normal things. So we need to fight fire with fire. And that goes to show what Gavin Newsom is doing. Good on him. Let's fight fire with fire. And any other day, sure, let's find an agreement where we can find some maps that we agree on. But you know what? The hell with y'all. We're not kumbaya. We're not coming together to celebrate. No. And we have too many people trying to make friends in Washington instead of standing up for what's right.
Yeah, I agree. And you even said the woman who was reporting this on her Substack was like, he's dropping a lot of F-bombs there. And you said in when you were talking about how America showed us who we really are after this election. And you brought up the Supreme Court and you said a fucking failed institution.
I really believe that, like I said, the House, they impeached Donald Trump. Great job, Nancy Pelosi, by introducing articles of impeachment. Great job. They sent it over to the Senate, and we all know how that turned out. So that institution, Congress, the House, did their job. The Senate did not. So, all right, institution failed me. And a lot of times, while we were all affected, I wanted personally, this is me, I wanted accountability, and I didn't get it. So that institution failed me.
Well, that's what you said, too, when you first, a lot of people think that all of the January 6th hearings happened in June of 2022. But actually, you all testified very early on, right after the formation of that committee in 2021. And that was the main thing. If I think someone asked you, it might have been Zoe Lofgren, it might have been Ms. Cheney, but they had asked you, what do you want from this? And you were like, justice. I want justice to be done. If I could ask for one thing from this, is that we need justice, and the justice system failed you.
The justice system failed. And I told him, I made a joke about Jack Smith there. I said, when Jack Smith was appointed, we all were Jack Smith fans. I was like, I contemplated a Jack Smith tattoo, and I'm just like, let's go, man. Let's root for him. And then that Supreme Court, that failed institution, that effing failed institution failed us. And then I was like, all right, we got one more chance. The greatest judgment group of people on the world. It's the American people. And we have an opportunity on November the 5th, 2024, to have accountability at the ballot box. That's the last looks like that's the last little bit of accountability that we'll get. And by electing him again, it showed me who we really are as a nation. And we can't say that we are this great nation who is above wanting dictators to rule us, that's above authoritarianism and misogyny and having a convicted felon and somebody found liable for sexual assault Jeffrey Epstein apologist, and what's the girl's name? Ghislaine Maxwell.
Oh, Ghislaine Maxwell.
Ghislaine Maxwell, an apologist and a support of hers. That's who we are. We are a country that puts those that wants that type of leadership. And I say we suck right now as a country, but the thing that keeps me going, keeps me fighting, is that we deserve better. I don't know if we'll ever get it, but I do know, like I said, going back to my football metaphor, we damn sure won't get it if we don't show up.
Yeah, but it's going to be like The Drive. If we're going to continue the football metaphor, it's inch by inch. It's there's going to be a couple of good passes where we may make up a lot of yardage in one way or another, especially like you said with this redistricting we're trying in California here. But it's going to be a ground game, and it's going to be a battle, and it's I hope people are with us and understand that it's going to be a grueling inch by inch march down the field, and not just something that magically happens. Nobody's going to create a Joe Rogan of the left and design a perfect candidate in a laboratory for you. It's going to be every battle is going to have to be hard fought. And you actually had a really vulnerable moment where you said you were concerned about healing.
Yeah.
Because you said you were afraid that if you healed, that you might lose the fire that you have. But I got to say, for me, I've healed quite a bit, and I haven't lost. In fact, it's just my resolve's gotten stronger.
Well,
that healing. So
I've healed in the sense that, like, I'm not, having PTSD flashbacks. I mean, occasionally stuff like that. I've healed in that sense. I've healed where I'm not consumed by it 24 hours a day. In that sense, sure. But when I talk about, not wanting to heal from January 6th, that is the reason why I'm here. Like I said, I was happy being a public servant, serving my country where nobody knew who I was, and staying on I was fine with that. But I'm scared though, because this is what drives me. This is my passion. This is what I'm so, and obviously I've found other fires along the way, the way they treat the LGBTQ plus and, immigrants and veterans. And I found a lot of stuff, but this directly affects me.
Yeah.
I won't lose the empathy that I have for other people. That always will be there, because that's the type of person that I am. And those are the type of people that we need in Congress, people that actually care. I said one thing, I said, Democrats, we're not perfect. We're not great. Hell, sometimes we're not even that good all the time, but we do care about people. Mm-hmm. We care about people, period. Republicans only care about themselves and care about power. So when I say I don't want it to heal, I mean, that's so crazy, but I am in love with this passion, this fire, this desire, this drive that I have right now. And I feel that the lack of accountability is what's kept me going. And I don't want to find out if that's the case or not. I am just happy with the way that it is now.
Right. But if the Supreme Court hadn't crowned him king and we got to those trials, we might not need that kind of fire.
You're right.
At this point, because I don't think that we'd be in this situation. But if and but are two things we can always look back on. I mean, hindsight is 2020, but we are where we are. And if you want everybody to watch this speech, it's on YouTube. You can Google Iowa Democratic Wingding, and you can watch Harry Dunn's speech. It's also linked in that blog post on Substack called Bleeding Heartland, like you said, all about Iowa politics. And I highly recommend you go check it out. It's a great speech. You did a wonderful job. And I look forward to many, many more from you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I was truly honored to be there. So it was great.
Yeah. This Sunday, I'm going to be hosting a candidate forum, a panel of everybody who's running against Darrell Issa in California's 48th. And what's interesting is that we've been planning this for a while, but now we might have redrawn maps making their races much easier to win, especially in the 48th against Issa. He's one of the 5 that's targeted in the new maps that came out this week. And so, but we're going forward. We're gonna find our candidate, and I look forward to to moderating that panel. So
good on you. And I know you won't be gentle.
No, I want to know. I want to know what everybody's up to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think you'd be a great, of course you are. You're a great moderator, and I just think you're fantastic at it. So I can't wait to hear the clips from it and see how it went. So
yeah, it should be good. Well, thank you for your work, my friend. You and I have a lot of news to get to. It's a good news day here on Clean Up on Aisle 45. We got some shit cleaned up, and we're going to talk about more. Including Alex Jones. We're going to talk about this January 6th defendant who's, I believe, the fifth one who's been told no, you can't have your money
told
back.
No.
And this time by Judge Royce Lamberth. And we're going to talk about Newsmax having to pay another big giant hunk of money to somebody for lying about 2020. It's so funny. Donald Trump is like, I'm going to have Ed Martin investigate the 2020 election. And meanwhile, Newsmax and Fox and everybody's forking out tens of millions, sometimes hundreds of millions of dollars because they admit that they lied about the 2020 election being stolen. So it's important that we get that news out. But we're going to take a quick break right now. So everybody stick around. We'll be right back.
All right, everybody, welcome back. All right, so now we got to talk about some, I call it sweet justice a little bit, Our next story comes from Law and Crime. A federal judge has swatted a request from another January 6th defendant seeking a refund of restitution now that he has been pardoned by Donald Trump, marking the fifth time that someone on the bench in Washington, D.C. has rejected a reimbursement request.
Yep. This latest refusal came on Wednesday from senior U.S. District Judge Royce Lamberth, who already has one rejection under his belt. So he's like, he's got a 1-2 punch going here. The defendant, Derek Kinnison, who's 42 of Lake Elsinore, was convicted and sentenced to 33 months in prison for his part in the 2021 Capitol attack with members of the 3%er militia, according to the DOJ. Now, like his colleagues in the district, Lamberth pointed out that the U.S. Supreme Court's 1877 decision in Note v. United States has precedent here. It described a pardon as an act of grace that does not restore rights or property once vested in others in consequence of the conviction and judgment, echoing their reasoning in his 5-page order. So it's the same precedent that's applying to all of these cases.
Yeah. He also took Kinnison to the legal woodshed. I like to take him out to the woodshed for attempting to prop up another Supreme Court case, Nelson v. Colorado, where a group of pardoned defendants successfully sought recovery of criminal payments they had deposited into state accounts after their convictions were reversed. One on appeal for trial error and one in post-conviction proceedings, according to Lamberth.
Right. They keep bringing this one up, by the way, Nelson v. Colorado. Quote, the defendant attempts to draw a parallel between the reversal of the petitioner's convictions in Nelson and the vacatur of his conviction by the D.C. Circuit. This is Lamberth, again, by the way, a Reagan appointee. Quote, but here, the defendant's conviction was not reversed. Rather, the only reason the conviction was vacated by the circuit is the defendant received a pardon. And in any event, the court's power to order a refund does not turn on whether the defendant's conviction was vacated. It turns on whether he is entitled to the funds. The defendant paid the full $2,350, and it was deposited.
Yeah. Now, Lamberth noted how the government attempted to save the defendant's argument by referring to the deposit of funds in the Treasury as erroneous. That's erroneous. The funds at issue here were not erroneously received, he concluded, noting that the nation's highest court made clear in note that while a pardon is an act of grace, it ultimately does not make amends for the past.
Yeah, you dick. Sorry, I'm mad.
Right?
Quote, the defendant's conviction was fully in force at the time he paid the $2,350 in assessments and restitution, Lamberth concluded, citing note. Quote, therefore, the funds were not erroneously received by the Treasury, and the court will not, indeed, it may not, order a refund here. U.S. District Judge Tanya Chutkin was the last person on the bench in Washington to deny restitution and fine refunds. Stacey Hager, 61, was charged and convicted in 2023 for 4 misdemeanors related to the Capitol breach. And he requested a $570 refund in February. Remember, we talked about that?
Yep.
Federal prosecutors signed off on his request, as they did with Kinnison and other January 6 defendants, saying that there was no longer any basis for justifying the government's retaining the funds. Chutkan was not convinced and cited all of the previous rejections, along with note.
Yeah. Quote, at least 3 other judges in this district have denied similar motions where defendants sought reimbursement for fines and fees associated with their now pardoned criminal convictions. And, Chutkan was appointed by Barack Obama. And this was from her 3-page order on July the 3rd. The government concurs, acknowledging that pardons generally do not make amends for the past, nor do they afford any relief for what has been suffered by the offender, Chutkan said. But it takes the curious position that in this unusual situation, reimbursement is appropriate.
Yeah, no, it isn't. Then there was Chief U.S. District Judge Boasberg and U.S. District Judge Moss. They are the other District of Columbia judges who have turned down requests from January 6 defendants in recent months. Boasberg, another Obama appointee, rebuffed a request from a Maryland couple on June 30th who asked for about $1,000 in restitution to be returned to them. Moss, another Obama appointee, these guys keep getting Obama appointees.
Lucky them.
Said no to a former U.S. Marine from New Jersey. Lamberth previously denied Utah defendant John Sullivan.
Yeah, and Trump's mass pardon, as we all know, of January 6 rioters earlier this year granted clemency to more than 1,500 defendants. So,
insurrectionists.
Yeah, I was just about to insert that. So thank you for doing that. So
yeah, I mean, I feel like these are different kinds of defendants. Like,
yeah.
These are insurrectionists, many of them convicted seditionists.
What will be interesting, and I'll never advocate for them being any type of any fair treatment or whatever. I acknowledge my bias, but what if Donald Trump went and their team went through and pardoned only certain ones, and it wasn't just a blanket ones, where people have more, and not just in the money states, because a lot of times the money was already, like I said, that we read about, was already deposited or not erroneously. But I just wonder if any of these appeals would be differently if they weren't just blanket pardons for everybody, but they were sought out. Just if they distinguish, hey, this person got charged for parading but didn't do it, or whatever the cause was or anything. I'm just wondering about that, but
not on the restitution, because the judges point out in note that the Supreme Court precedent is that it wasn't a mistake when you did it, and the victims aren't any less off here. And it was deposited in the Treasury, and you can't get shit back from the Treasury unless Congress comes in, which is another part of note that wasn't mentioned in this story. So I think regardless of how the pardons were executed, because I haven't seen anything in any of these judges' rulings that say because this was a blanket pardon or because of the nature of the blanket pardon. I think it just simply has to do with the fact that the crime happened and you paid your restitution to the Treasury. It was deposited. It wasn't erroneous, and you can't have it back.
And that's it.
Yeah, it's an act of grace.
No refunds.
Not an erasure of the past. You break it, you bought it.
You break, you buy. No refunds.
Poop on the Capitol, you owe the money. That's how it goes.
Seems legit.
Yeah, but I mean, here we are trying to get people arrested for throwing sandwiches at cops. So,
Lord have mercy, man.
And there was another woman named Reed Jeanine Pirro tried to charge with an enhanced assault, right? A felony assault, which requires bodily injury. And she went to 2 different grand juries and couldn't get anybody to return an indictment for that either. So here you have them desperately trying to indict people for assaulting ICE officers.
Literally overreach.
While trying to also get the money back from people who beat and killed cops at January 6th.
The hypocrisy is out. Is whatever, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. And I'm sure, we might see some of that language in if any of these end up going to trial, which I really don't see them getting past a grand jury, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
With the ICE ones.
Especially here in D.C., right?
Right. Yeah. Do you think a group of 30 people who live in D.C. are going to be like, yeah, she definitely bodily harmed that guy with the sandwich or whatever.
Yeah, nah.
No. All right. In other court news, Harry, Democracy Docket is reporting the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals is upholding a lower court ruling last Thursday, striking down Louisiana's state legislative maps for violating the Voting Rights Act. The court agreed the maps packed and cracked Black communities, concentrating some Black voters into a small number of districts and splitting others across multiple districts in ways that unlawfully diluted their power to elect their preferred candidates under Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act.
Yeah, this is a big deal. The state's challenge to the constitutionality of Section 2 is foreclosed by decades of binding precedent affirming Congress's broad enforcement under the 15th Amendment, the court wrote. The state's assertion that Congress must periodically re-justify legislation passed under the Reconstruction Amendments finds no support in this constitutional text or case law. Louisiana had argued that conditions in the state changed enough to make race-conscious remedies unnecessary. The court flatly rejected that claim. Good for them.
Yeah, there's no more racism. We don't need the Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act anymore. Quote, here's what the court said. There's no legal basis for this proposition, and the state offers no evidence that conditions in Louisiana have changed in the year since Milligan was decided. In any event, this court, sitting en banc, and every other circuit to consider the issue, have upheld the constitutionality of Section 2's results test. We decline to depart from this settled and uniform precedent. With the Fifth Circuit's ruling, Louisiana must now draw maps that better represent its Black population. Fifth Circuit is real conservative, by the way.
Yeah.
That's about 1/3 of the state.
That's a surprise, yeah.
Yeah, mm-hmm. But everyone else up to the Supreme Court has upheld this. So it's going to be up to the Supreme Court to overturn this section of the Voting Rights Act, right? And like I said, they're set to hear a separate case challenging Louisiana's congressional map for allegedly violating the 14th and 15th Amendments. So
yeah, didn't Clarence Thomas allude to how he had a problem with this about racism and the maps and stuff like that? He alluded to this in a decision earlier this summer or this year, but.
Yeah, they've been wanting to, Leonard Leo and the billionaires, the oligarchs who made this Supreme Court have been wanting to just completely get rid of the rest of the Voting Rights Act altogether for a long time now. So that's why I think they're going to take this other case. But they're hearing it on the 14th and 15th Amendments. So we'll see how it goes and we'll keep you posted.
Yep, we'll be paying attention.
Yeah. All right, we have more good news. We're going to talk about Newsmax having to pay a $67 million settlement, but we have to take another quick break, so stick around. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, welcome back. We have some more good news for you, but first, we need to thank our patrons. Our new patrons are Nivea Mercado, Lori, Laura, and Pam Winkleski. Thank you all for signing up. And then Hall of Fame patrons include The Future is Not Looking Bright, Fran Reichenbach, Ren Special K Kaidu, Jens Eilstrup Rasmussen, Dr. David, We Will Survive, Greg Robbins Smith, a.k.a. Benjamin Franklin Live, Artemis's Wolf, Lynn Bentley, Karen Sherman, Joan Qualls, and please don't read this on the pod. We don't need a shout out. Thanks for all you do. So you too can become a patron and pick whatever name you want us to read. Join the fam. Support independent media by going to patreon.com/aisle45pod, AISLE, the number 4, the number 5, and POD. And we love our fam, and we're going to be, I think it's either this Friday or next Friday, we're going to be doing another happy hour. We'll talk offline about what works best for us, Harry.
Yeah.
But keep an eye on your junk. Keep an eye on your inbox.
Yeah, we're so thankful for you all. So those that are able to, thank you so much. And everybody, we just thank you for just listening and supporting us. So
heck yeah.
All right, so check this out. Here's some good news. AG, I think you were talking about this in the beginning. All right, this comes from NPR. Newsmax will pay $67 million to settle one of the last outstanding defamation lawsuits against a news organization for airing false claims that the 2020 election was rigged. Denver-based Dominion Voting Systems, the same voting technology company that had received a $787 million settlement from Fox News over its election coverage, brought the lawsuit against Newsmax. A trial was scheduled to begin in October.
Whoo, buddy. They're raking it in over at Dominion.
Yeah, they are.
In the lawsuit filed in the months after the 2020 election, Dominion accused Newsmax of spreading false claims that the company's voting technology had been manipulated to help Joe Biden beat Donald Trump. It's not just that he lost. He couldn't possibly have lost for being so totally horrible. Like other right-wing news networks, Newsmax featured Trump allies who promoted those conspiracies, including former Trump campaign lawyer Sidney Powell and supporter Pillowman Mike Lindell. Newsmax announced the settlement in an August 15th filing with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. According to the document, the network paid $27 million on that day, and the rest will be paid by January 2027.
Yeah, so multiple court rulings and investigations by election officials have found zero widespread fraud, and it was not present during the 2020 election. Even still, these debunked claims were still being echoed by factions of Trump supporters in 2024.
They're being echoed
by
today.
Trump, I think by Donald Trump. And I'm about to say, wait a minute, echoed by everybody today and by the president. So Dominion has said the election lies caused the company and its employees extensive harm, including death threats and lost revenue. We are pleased to have settled this matter, a Dominion spokesperson said Monday morning. Man, if I'm sitting on close to $1 billion in settlements, I'm going to be more than just pleased. But that's my quote.
I know. Now, and I hope they use it to secure up their voting machines. Now, in mid-April, Judge Eric M. Davis, who had presided over Dominion's case against Fox News, ruled that all of the at-issue statements that aired on Newsmax were false and defamatory. His ruling meant that should the case have gone to trial, the jury would only have to decide basically how much to give Dominion and whether Newsmax acted with actual malice. So in a statement, Newsmax did not admit any wrongdoing. So I guess that wasn't part of the deal.
Yeah,
it maintained,
Fox got that, didn't they?
Yeah, they had to say. But now Newsmax had to say something about. I think they had to apologize about something else on air, and so did Fox, like you said. But Newsmax maintained its 2020 election coverage was fair, balanced, and conducted within professional standards of journalism. Yeah, and here's $67 million to prove it. Quote, Newsmax believed it was critically important for the American people to hear both sides of the election disputes that arose in 2020, it said.
But the company also accused Davis of ruling in ways that strongly favored the plaintiffs and limited Newsmax's ability to defend itself.
She lied.
Of course. It claims that the court's actions in this case against Fox represent a direct attack on free speech and a free press. Newsmax last year settled a defamation case brought by another voting systems company, Smartmatic USA, in the wake of the 2020 election. Information filed with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission showed that Newsmax was due to pay the Smartmatic company the second half of that $40 million payout by the end of June 2025.
I think maybe that's who they had to apologize to.
Yeah.
Now, Smartmatic is still pursuing its $2.7 billion defamation suit against Fox News.
Wow.
in New York State court. That case, if it goes to trial, could be heard by a jury in 2026. Dominion and some of its employees have separately sued Sidney Powell and others, including former Trump attorney and New York Mayor Rudy. And we'll talk about that in the D block of a show soon.
It definitely is coming to a cleanup episode near you. But you know what? If I'm Smartmatic, I'm kind of just sitting back here happy as can be. I mean, everybody's winning these cases about defamation and everything like that. So, you know, if I'm Smartmatic, I mean, what they're pursuing $2.7 billion, that's a lot of money.
It is. I'm sure that'll come down.
It'll come down, but wow.
But they, you know, it's the same statements.
Are companies even worth that much money?
Like Dominion. I don't know how much Fox News is worth, or Fox News Corp, or whatever the.
No, I mean Smartmatic.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what they're worth. But that's those are the damages they're claiming. A lot of that's punitive, right? And you know, we'll see how it goes. But you know, like you said, they could very easily get a partial summary judgment saying we find these statements were defamatory, like they did in Fox, like they did with Dominion and Newsmax. And all the jury has to do is find out how much money is owed and maybe whether or not actual malice occurred. Now, I think they actually, in one of the other cases, maybe it was Fox News, the judge actually determined that there was actual malice and all they had to do was figure out an amount.
Yeah.
But I could also be thinking of E. Jean Carroll, because all the jury had to do in that case was figure out how much Donald Trump owed her.
That's like a common theme with them. Just tell us how much we owe. We know we're wrong. Just tell us how much we owe,
Yeah. We'll see. And we'll
just
keep
cease
that.
to exist. How about that? Like, just keep your money. Keep your money. Just cease to exist.
Right.
Like,
that would be great. Just
as
go.
As a company, not as an individual.
Flee to go back to from whence he came.
Yes. Bye.
Yeah. And also, I mean, we see, like you said, and like we mentioned in the story, it wasn't just secluded or relegated to 2024. Trump is doing it now. I mean, a day after rolling out the red carpet for murderous dictator Vladimir Putin.
Literally rolling out the red carpet.
Having military get down on their hands and knees to roll out that red carpet.
Unbelievable.
Trump has announced he's going to be trying to get rid of mail-in voting. He votes by mail, by the way. He also said, no other countries have mail-in voting. No, we're the only country that has it. No, sir. Russia has it. Russia has mail-in voting.
That's insane. Do you also know that Russia, I mentioned this in my speech, not get off topic. Do you know that Russia also has universal health care? Step it up, U.S.
Yeah, if you're going to talk about us being the only country that does stuff, it's that. We're the only one that doesn't have universal health care. We incarcerate more people than anybody.
Yeah.
Our Trump's Gestapo has a bigger budget than most militaries.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
And we're going to see how this shakes out if he wants to get rid of mail-in voting.
Well, what are your thoughts on that? I was just about to say, can he do? So I've heard, maybe you can expand on this. So he's talking about federal elections, but there are really no their elections are run by states. So
correct.
So is this just talking into the void right now? What is he doing by doing this?
I think what he's trying to do is to get his buddies in red states to try, because states administer elections. Even super conservative justices and judges like Pryor on the 11th Circuit have said this. Like that's why Meadows couldn't get a break and couldn't move his Fulton County indictments to federal court. They're like, bro, you have no role in federal elections. So no, your phone call to Raffensperger couldn't have been about this. It couldn't have been about that. You have no role. You and the president, the executive, has no role in federal elections or the oversight of federal elections. So, I mean, Congress would have to pass a law, I think, banning mail-in voting nationwide or something, which could easily be overturned. But, honestly, what I think he's trying to do is pressure his red state governor buddies and red state legislatures to pass those laws in their states. To really clamp down on that. And yes, that hurts a lot of Republicans and Republican voting, but it also hurts a lot of our blue House districts in red Cs, our blue dots in red states. So it's a dangerous thing. And of course it comes a day after he meets with Putin. Oh, Putin. And he even said, Putin told me mail-in voting sucks. We need to stop it. Like, you know what? It's so clear what you guys were talking about.
Yeah, and it wasn't helping Ukraine.
No, not at all. And, we're going to cover a little bit more detail. As we're recording this, that summit is happening in D.C. right now. Not the Alaska one, but the one with Zelensky and Trump and like 5 other European leaders.
Yeah.
Is happening right now. Finland, France, Germany. And we'll talk more about that because we don't have a readout yet on it, but it is going on. And, we definitely want to cover what this quote unquote deal is going to look like in Ukraine. Because as far as I can tell, Zelensky's not going to cede any territory.
No, nor should he.
No. And Trump keeps calling it Biden's war. It's Putin's war.
It's Putin's war, period.
Knock it off. I hate that guy. Anyway.
He's the worst.
We have one more good news story. Alex Jones could soon lose InfoWars, his brand, his studio. He's a step closer to that. We're going to tell you why right after this quick break. Stick around. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, welcome back. One more story. Like I said, it's a feel-good story. It's also from NPR. NPR writes, this time, it might be for real. Conspiracy theorist Alex Jones could soon be forced to stop airing his InfoWars show and give up the company's property, including everything from desks and microphones to the InfoWars brand name. A state judge in Texas Wednesday ordered InfoWars assets to be turned over to a newly appointed state receiver. That's a money babysitter. Who will sell them to pay the families of the Connecticut children killed in the 2012 Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting. They won a $1.3 billion defamation case against Alex Jones after he spread bogus conspiracies that the shooting never happened and that the grieving families were actors. His listeners harassed the families for years.
Yeah, this move, it paves the way for the receiver or sheriffs to start the process of seizing cash and property owned by InfoWars and its parent company, Free Speech Systems. Within Free Speech Systems, that's the parent
systems
company.
For sale.
Yeah, for sale. The families who spent some 3 years in federal bankruptcy court trying to collect what Jones owes them could start seeing their first payouts through the state court in weeks or months. The families are pleased that the court has placed InfoWars' parent company into receivership, which will finally lead to accountability for Alex Jones' monstrosities and his cruel harassments towards those families. This is from Mark Bankston, one of the attorneys for the families.
Yeah, Judge Maya Guerra Gambles, that's her name, Maya Guerra Gamble, her order in Travis County, Texas District Court, appointing a receiver, Gregory Milligan, may herald a quick end to Jones's long run under his InfoWars brand. Most of the Sandy Hook families still want the InfoWars name and property sold to the satirical site The Onion, which has vowed to turn InfoWars into a parody of itself. And I'm glad the families want this. This is what I want.
Yeah.
And, it also makes me think of the Proud Boys logo and trademark belonging to the AME Church.
Yes. Like we talked about last week. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And last December, a federal bankruptcy court judge in Texas stopped the sale to the Onion, saying the bankruptcy auction process was flawed. It was a win for Jones, one of few, who argued his company should have been sold to First United American Companies, which has ties to Jones and has widely expected to keep him on the air.
Mm-hmm. I think it's like his dad's or something. The newly appointed receiver has the power to, quote, collect all accounts receivable, change the locks to all premises at which any property is situated, access all storage facilities, safe deposit boxes, and real property, and exercise control over any website of Alex Jones. That's according to the order. The order adds that any sheriff, constable, or officer in the peace shall assist the receiver in carrying out his duties and exercising his powers under the order. Quote, now that there's a receiver in place, Alex Jones is no longer going to control the InfoWars brand. It's time to shut it down. That's what Avi Mosenberg said, one of the several attorneys for the families. Legal experts agree a sale to the Onion is more likely now that InfoWars' fate has shifted to Texas state court. And my fingers are crossed so hard. My fingers and toes are all crossed for that.
It's not a panacea, but it's a more favorable venue to be in, says Larry Poneroff, Dean and Professor Emeritus at Tulane Law School and a professor of legal practice at Wilmington University School of Law. From a creditor's point of view, you're most often better off under state law because the state court may be able to operate with greater speed and flexibility and fewer constraints than the bankruptcy court judge has to deal with.
Yep. Now, the Onion has not responded to requests for comment on its plans, but the company has previously vowed to continue trying to buy InfoWars to ensure, quote, a positive outcome for the horror that the Sandy Hook families endured, unquote. There's no immediate comment from Jones's lawyer, but Jones himself railed against the judge on his show after the hearing, accusing her of overreach and saying her order runs afoul of federal bankruptcy court orders. Quote, I'm pretty pissed off and wound up. Really? Just today?
I was say, how is that different from any other day?
He's always like a ball of red or blue, and he's got spit coming out, and he's yelling about gay frogs like 24/7. He's always pissed off and wound up.
Jones has long cast the defamation suits as part of the deep state attempt to terrorize, stalk, and defame him and his family in an attempt to shut him down. This fight is your fight, he told listeners in advance of Wednesday's hearing, as he implored them to buy his product to help pay for his legal bills. You are the resistance, and this dog don't hunt without you. But one way or another, Jones insists he will stay on the air.
Can you imagine if we did that shit all day, every day, Harry? Like,
oh my gosh.
It's Trump. He's coming after us. He's coming after cleanup on aisle 45. You got to send us all your money and you got to buy these vitamin supplements. We have ivermectin for sale. We are the victims. This is the deep state. Like all day.
They're nuts. They're nuts.
All day.
We don't push any product. It's they.
No. What you get for your money as a Cleanup on Aisle 45 patron is ad-free episodes. And you get them early. There's no ivermectin that comes in the mail. We should do that though. We should send our cleanup patrons like some ivermectin.
Wait, we want to get more patrons, not lose them.
I remember when we were first signing up patrons for Mueller, She Wrote, the podcast back in the day. We had a friend of mine owns a tea company. And we would send him polonium tea. Like, it's not real polonium tea.
Yeah. I was about to say, wait, what?
Now, if InfoWars brand and property are sold, Jones could still start a new company or work for someone else. But because the bankruptcy judge ruled that Jones's behavior was willful and malicious, the bankruptcy will not erase Jones's debt, meaning the families can keep collecting any money he makes in the future until he pays the $1.3 billion he owes them.
Yes.
They own him for the rest of his American life.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that for him.
Good for them.
The Sandy Hook family sued Jones and his companies for defamation in Connecticut and Texas in 2018 after 20 young children and 6 educators were killed in a 2012 mass shooting. Jones falsely claimed the family staged their children's death in order to drum up support for gun control laws. And his followers stalked and tormented the families for years, as we said.
Yeah, both Jones and his businesses filed for bankruptcy, but his business's Chapter 11 protection was dismissed last year, allowing the fight over InfoWars' assets to move to state court. Jones's personal assets, including real estate, cars, guns, and watches, will continue to be liquidated by the federal bankruptcy court. Jones continues to appeal all the judgments against him, vowing to take the Connecticut case to the U.S. Supreme Court. He has until September 5th to file his request.
Good luck.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that. I mean,
yeah.
It's more like a good luck fucker. Pardon my French. He insists he doesn't have enough money to pay the families. Yeah, but you will be making more money as you
will
in the future. Even if a tiny fraction, he can't even pay a tiny fraction of what he owes them. But a court-appointed federal bankruptcy trustee says otherwise, accusing Jones of hiding his assets. Even in a best-case scenario, families likely will collect very little of the money that they're owed, but they can like you said, they can continue to go after him for the rest of his life.
And they own him. Can you imagine real quick, like, how disgusting when we talked about, Shay Moss and Ruby Freeman, them getting like Giuliani's, and how much it must stink in there and get cleaners.
Oh, yeah, with his
Alex
cars
Jones
and
is
his
probably
watches
even worse. Like, that guy just looked like he just spits on the floor of his home where he lived. Just, what a disgusting, sick individual.
He really is. He is. He's really gross.
Yeah.
And this makes me think of, because he called that all a hoax, like
Sandy Hook,
sort of false flag, right? And,
Sandy Hook, yeah.
Yeah, but it makes me think of Donald Trump calling the Epstein files a hoax. And I'm wondering if the survivors don't have standing to sue him.
That's, you know what, AG, you might be onto something there.
Yeah.
And you know what? So we're talking about civil suits and everything. A lot of people have talked about, the police officers, continue to sue for January 6th and everything like that. But you have a lot of times you have statutes. I think we're beyond the
statute of limitation.
But the clock
for defamation.
That's the thing. The clock restarts every time they defame you. Mm-hmm. So there was a guy on Fox News yesterday talking about no cops got their asses kicked on January the 6th. The cops, they had the crap beat out of. So that kind of like restarts the clock of defamation because you're newly defamed me a week ago or whatever. So Donald Trump talks about the hoax once a week at least.
At
So
least.
that he keeps the statute open. So you may be onto something there.
You should ask your buddy Mark if it's
I was
if it's
about
a case.
I was
right?
just about that. My wheels are turning. I'm like, let me text this dude real quick, man.
Because I mean, if the Sandy Hook families can win over $1 billion
in Texas,
and Connecticut, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it was lower in one of the states because there's a cap. But anyway, it was a huge settlement, and this one wouldn't be in Texas. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see if they have a case or if they have standing to sue, if the Epstein survivors do. But thanks for that story, Harry. This is good. Good news. I hope the Onion gets InfoWars. That would be amazing.
Absolutely. That would be great.
They would do such great things.
They already do, but this would be even better. Like,
right, making it a parody of itself. I love that. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to Clean Up on Aisle 45. Thanks to our new patrons. And if you can't swing being a patron, thanks for listening. Just the act of listening is an act of resistance. So
absolutely it is.
We so appreciate you being here, and we love doing this every week. It's as good for us as it is for anybody else. So thank you.
Food for the soul. So
it is. And we will see you next week. And then, of course, if you're a patron, we'll do a little bonus content for you this weekend. And we'll, again, let you know, patrons, when the happy hour will be, whether it's this Friday or the Friday after. We have to figure that out. And do you have any final thoughts today, my friend?
No, this was a refreshing episode.
Pretty good news story.
Yeah,
show.
so I got nothing. I'm gonna end this on a high note.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Since it's good, let's not ruin it, shall we?
Absolutely.
And we'll see you all next week. I've been Allison Gill.
Harry Dunn. Thanks, y'all.
Clean Up on Aisle 45 is written, researched, and produced by Allison Gill, with editing by Molly Hockey. Our art and logo design are by Joelle Reeder and Moxie Design Studios, and our music is composed and performed by Adam Orr. Clean Up on Aisle 45 is a proud member of the MSW Media Network, a collection of creator-owned podcasts dedicated to news, politics, and justice. For more information, visit mswmedia.com. MSW Media.